The work is done.
Journes announced resolutely after blinking in front of our ship. I looked over and could see James nearly having a heart attack.
I thank you, Nick Ubix. This victory would not have been possible without your help. As promised, I will now return you to orbit your Earth. I have informed Freyna of your Milky Way about your condition and asked that he be in touch. I believe he may have some information that will allow you to rid yourself of the void within.
Thank you, Journes. I appreciate. We were back in Earth orbit. Just like that, you could have blinked and missed it. It seemed teleportation was effortless for a Weaver after all. We phoned down to the planet's surface for customer support, and 3 hours later we were back on the ground in our respective homes as the ship was being serviced. We had been through a lot together over the last week, but we needed some time apart. I brewed a coffee and sat down in my study. While stuck in Andromeda, I had fallen behind on some of the accounting for my business, but I was unable to focus, instead staring at the dust beams on the distant bookshelves. It was difficult to pull my mind away from the horrors I had just witnessed. The knowledge of the Weavers and that out there somewhere right now growing was another giant eel, one that considered me its mother. The sun descended in the sky, sending golden orange rays into my study. I made my way out to the patio to stare into the twilight and the first burgeoning stars in the sky. I thought about James and those aliens that attacked him when we first arrived on the desert planet. They clearly knew of the artifact's existence and wanted it for themselves, but in all the millions of years that it had sat on Venus, they had never come to claim it. So it stood to reason that it wasn't it they were tracking. Somehow, it was James they knew the location of. A strange pale shape appeared in the sky to interrupt my thoughts. A great, stoic face, 4 spider-like arms and a long torso. It was a Weaver. No one on Earth had ever drank Placea except for myself and James, so I knew it was here for me. It inched up closer and closer, its face reflecting the sun's light until its face was all that could be seen in the sky.
Greetings. You must be Nick Ubix.
The Weaver spoke with intent into my mind.
Journes mentioned to me that you recently became a Void Mother. I am the Weaver known as Freyna. I maintain the integrity of the galaxy you know as the Milky Way. I hope that you are enjoying your time in my galaxy.
Nick was intrigued by this foreign display of hospitality.
I hear that you are looking for a way to rid yourself of the void and cut yourself off from the winnower you spawned. Under normal circumstances, I would kill you right now and be done with it. But Journes has told me that you helped to hunt down the Void Mother of Ubix Grata of your own free will. And so, Nick Ubix, I will give you 5 years to rid yourself of the void before I kill you.
My heart stopped beating for a moment. I had thought I was on better terms with the Weavers.
Clearing the void from a lesser being is no task for a Weaver. I have watched many civilizations come and go in the Milky Way, but intelligent life is more rare than you think. Currently, there are only 2. You humans of Earth, who are descended from the ancient Venetian civilization, and the Amartics, who live in a different spiral arm of this galaxy. Currently, the Amartics are about 1,000 years ahead of you in technology. Like you, the Amartics are descended from another ancient civilization. Many millions of years ago, there was trade between your solar system and the precursor of the Amartics. Both ancients were more advanced than either of you today. And it is that ancient Amartic civilization which conducted research into the void. They were the only civilization in the Milky Way to discover me on their own. As I read your thoughts, I see that you have encountered the Amartics before. It seems they accosted you and a friend of yours shortly before you met Journes.
So that's who those tall aliens were. It seemed like they were attacking us for the artifact. but why?
I would not deign to speculate on the current Amartic civilization's behavior. They are still far more primitive and unruly than their precursors, but I can see in your memories that artifact you recovered from Venus is the fruit of the research into the void. As you are aware, they manipulate the exit points of wormholes, and without them the intragalactic trade of the past would not have been possible, as your friend James showed you. By showing one of the faces of the artifact to the wormhole, you may manipulate its exit point. But this is also true for the sides and points of the artifact. Each leads to a different exit point near or within the galaxy. And from one of the edges, the wormhole should exit near the homeworld of the ancient Amartics. It orbits far away from its star, and it was abandoned long ago when the heat in its core died. Somewhere on that world you will find the research of the ancient Amartics. Although, truth be told, I'm not sure that they ever discovered how to disconnect a Void Mother from its offspring.
Do you know where on the planet I might find the research? That's not a lot to go on, and you're not giving me very much time, I complained to Freyna.
I apologize, Nick Ubix, but there is not much time. Already, the winnower you spawned will be close to the length of this solar system. Already, he could devour your star. In 5 years' time, he will be the size of a weaver, and should we allow him to grow any larger than that, he will be a danger to us when we go to dispose of him. I will not prioritize your life over the lives of my own kind. This is an instinct I know you understand. That is all that I know, Nick Ubix. I wish you luck.
The Weaver's face shrunk as he moved away from Earth and back into the void. Typical Weaver. There was a certain kind of comfort in his logic, but that didn't remove the feeling of dread that now hung over my heart. If I didn't complete this seemingly impossible task within 5 years, Freyna would be back to murder me. I made my way through the city to James's house, itching to share the news. The ship would still be under repairs for another week, however, and I wouldn't be able to get started on this monumental task as soon as I wanted to. I passed through the garden in front of James's house and knocked on the door. It creaked open on its own. It was dark inside as usual, but I could see someone standing in the room. It wasn't James. They were very tall and wore robes. It was an Amartic, standing in what looked like a pool of blood. I could feel the void coursing through my veins. With violence in my heart, I screamed and ran towards the Amartic, but before I could reach him, he stepped backwards through a portal and disappeared. I stormed through the dark rooms of James's house. Runes covered the walls and tables and chairs lay flipped over haphazardly, but this wasn't uncommon for James. His absence, however, was. The Amartic I'd seen hadn't looked injured, so I was pretty sure that was James's blood. I paced back and forth through the dark rooms, panicking, and my upset doubled when I realized I couldn't see the artifact of Venus anywhere. The key to saving my own life and his. Wait. I had an idea. Surely there were more of those artifacts on Venus. If I could just go back there and scan the surface of the planet, surely I'd find another one. But again, I would be waiting upwards of a week for the ship's gravity drive to be repaired. I kicked open the front door in frustration. James was probably being tortured in all manner of horrible ways by the Amartics, and all I could do was stand around and pace. Then again, maybe he was already dead. That was a lot of blood after all. A deep sadness took hold of me as I made my way into one of the ravines by James's house. As intense as that last trip together had been, he had never left my side or given up on me. He had always been like that, even as kids. I made my way through the ravine to our old elementary school and stared up at the moon as tears were welling in my eyes. After all that had happened, I couldn't have done anything to protect him. I sat on a hill in the playground for hours, feeling guilty, sorry for James and myself. The moon was low and I was exhausted, so I stood up to head home. Hello, Mother. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled up, and once more I looked to the sky where the face of an anglerfish sat, absorbing the soft glow of the moon. A breeze blew and I was alone with him. I knew no one else could see. In that moment I was afraid, but there was no doubt in my mind that this winnower was my child. What do you want? I asked, timidly. I want to talk to you. The Winnower sounded subdued. I'm sorry that the first time we met was unpleasant for you. I am Ubek's Kroll. I inherited my father's memories shortly after he passed away, and I see in your memories that you had a hand in his demise. I could think of nothing to say. In that moment, I figured he was there for revenge. I want to tell you, Nick, I don't blame you. You're a monster. What kind of manipulation tactic is this? I'm a monster. Who told you that? The Weavers? No, not even them. I see your thoughts. You decided it arbitrarily. Is it because we devour planets and stars? Well, so do the Weavers, if it suits their interests. It's Journes told you that we want to bring about the end of the universe by stretching all matter apart and maximizing entropy. But he also told you that they want to end the universe by collapsing everything down to the way it was before the Big Bang. Tell me, Nick, why is one method of ending the universe evil and not the other? He had a point, and my mind raced. Had I been used as a pawn by the Weavers all this time? No, I made a deal with a Weaver and Journes to get back to Earth when I had no other way of returning. I suppose you're right. As a human, I don't really care how the universe ends. Nick, I know you had a conversation earlier with Freyna about cutting yourself off from me. I know that you didn't choose to birth me, and I know that you want to rid yourself of the void. Like Freyna, I don't know whether or not that's possible, but even if you went to all the trouble, what would you gain? The Weavers don't meddle in the affairs of what they call lesser organisms. They might offer a kind word, but you'd never see them again. We Winnowers see our Void Mothers differently. This may sound strange, Nick, but I can't help my biology. I love you, and I will do whatever it takes to protect you. It was a bit uncomfortable to hear this, but I could tell the enormous creature was being sincere. Nick, I want you to let me remove you from Earth. I want to hide you away where Freyna cannot harm you, but that is not a decision I would have you make just yet. The eel added, feeling my trepidation in real time. Your friend, James, is on the homeworld of the Amartics. I will do for you what a Weaver would never. I will meddle in your affairs. I will help you rescue James, Nick. As much as I had liked Journes, I had never fully trusted him. But my trust for this massive eel was real and visceral. I could feel that he needed me, just as any child needs their mother. He truly wanted me to like him. Okay, thank you. I just have to wait for my ship. You don't need a ship, Nick, good Ubix. I will teach you how to breathe the void. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to Season 2 of Dark Universe. I'm gonna take a break for a little bit because I've been making a video every week for a year and 9 months. And I'm almost done my audiobook. I thought I'd be done in November, but I really wanted to start the sequel to the novel, and that's massively delayed. Before I come back, I'm going to make a text post with a poll about what videos I should make. I have a rough idea for a Dark Universe Season 3, and I also think it might be time for Bigfoot Season 2. I know that I've strayed away from pure horror. This Dark Universe series has now kind of become action adventure with a bit of horror elements sometimes, which is more similar to my book, and it's what I probably enjoy reading the most, but I'm kind of in the mood for some horror again. Other options would be more creature features if I can find more cryptids to do videos about, or more standalone sci-fi horror videos. So just something to think about. I'll do a more formal poll later. Thanks everyone for all your support, and until next time, embrace the beautiful dark.